Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a very great and wonderful day. Sorry for the late video. I was mostly starting with started a tiny bit late, but the video that I was making took over an hour and a half just to get everything done and edited, and mostly the thumbnail. And I apologize for that. That took quite a bit longer than I wanted to. I'll have to calm down my thumbnails. Anywho, we have at least a little bit of justice. Some things happening in Georgia, which is not pertaining to Donald Trump, but is pertaining to Antifa. We have this here: 61 indicted in Georgia on racketeering charges connected to Stop City movement. Now, granted, this is from AP News, right? So we take what they say with a grain of salt. I have another article here that says similarly the same things that I would deem more credible, but just not trip off YouTube, make YouTube angry, including a lot of these other crazy leftists that don't have any brain. I post this. In a sweeping indictment released Tuesday, Republican Attorney General Chris Carr alleged the defendants are militant anarchists who supported a violent movement that prosecutors traced to the widespread 2020 racial justice protests. So yeah, we have all of this here and whatnot. So I'm not going to read this entire article here because there's kind of almost no point when I can read this one where I feel is more credible and won't eat our lives apart. So again, the same thing here. It was 61 Stop City Antifa militants indicted on RICO other charges in Atlanta. On Tuesday, over 60 Stop Cop City protesters were indicted in Fulton County, Georgia, on charges in connection with their efforts to prevent the construction of a police training facility near Atlanta earlier this year. The defendants, collectively branded an enterprise of militants, anarchists, eco-activists, and community organizers, have all been accused of violating the state's Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. God dang. Only when I'm doing videos, man. Seriously. Individual defendants are also facing other charges related to their particular roles. The indictment alleges that the purpose of defend the Atlanta force is to occupy parts of all 381 forested acres in DeKalb County, Georgia, that is owned by Atlanta Police Foundation and leased by the city of Atlanta for the purpose of preventing the construction of the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. Each individual charged in this indictment, it states, knowing joined the conspiracy in an attempt to prevent the training center from being built. Among those named in the indictment of is policy lawyer Thomas Webb Jurgens. My apologies. The 28-year-old was one of the 28 people accused of domestic terrorism in March over his role in an Antifa-linked attack on police officers and the future site of the training facility. The SPLC defended him, suggesting he had been a legal observer. Tuesday's indictment reiterates that Jurgens did join an organized mob and succeeded in overwhelming the police force, thereby aiding and abetting in the offense of arson and domestic terrorism in an attempt to occupy the DeKalb forest and prevent the building of the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center, all of which amounted to an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy. For months, Antifa members and other far-left extremists wreaked havoc on the area, carrying out numerous attacks, setting up potentially deadly booby traps, and generally making it impossible for officials to move forward on the project. During a Tuesday afternoon press conference, Georgia Attorney General Christopher Carr said, as the indictment asserts, members of defend the Atlanta force subscribe to a philosophy of anarchy. They hold a core belief that society should abolish police, government, and private business, and as further alleged, they are willing to bring about such changes by any means necessary, including violence, he said, adding that the group recruited and trained individuals from Georgia and beyond to participate in this criminal enterprise. So yeah, this is where we're at with Antifa, but this was no surprise here. I mean, this was something that was bound to happen, and hopefully, it all stops here. What we have, obviously, what we're seeing here is, craziness upon the highest level. We have a few things that we could probably say here from the AP News. Republican Governor Brian Kemp, meanwhile, praised the indictment, saying in a statement, "My top priority is and always will be keeping Georgians safe, especially against out-of-state radicals that threaten the safety of our citizens and law enforcement." It goes on to say here, protests against the training center escalated after the fatal shooting in January of 26-year-old protester Manuel Esteban Paez Turan, known as Torjaguda. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I have no bloody clue. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has said state troopers fired in self-defense after Paez Turan shot at them while they cleared protesters from a wooded area near the proposed facility site. Which, again, this is also true. This is not wrong. We can go through this. I really like going off of a lot of what would I say from what we say, not what's his name, Andy No, because he goes a lot about this. But the Post Millennial is really good with this. But we're reading this to get a little bit more insight, even though that. I don't like AP News. I'd rather go over more credible things. Prosecutors trace the roots of the Stop Cop City movement back to May 25th, 2020. The date George Floyd was murdered by police officers in Minneapolis, even though the result protesting occurred months before officials announced plans for the training center. Long after the racial justice protests died down, violent anti-police sentiment persisted among Atlantans and remains of the demonstrators' core driving motives, according to the indictment. Since 2021, numerous instances of violence and vandalism have been linked to the movement. Days after killing Paez, Perez, a police officer was set alight at a January protest in downtown Atlanta. I may believe I also did a video on this as well, so some of this, going over this, is a little bit redundant. But we have this here as well that's been going on as a counter to this. Now, I don't want to say literally a counter, but it's happening around the same time that this is going on. Ex-Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio sentenced to 22 years for January 6th. Now, here's the huge problem that I have with this, with the issue, and we're gonna go over this with the Tim Pool thing because this is an issue. Now, Tim Pool went over, made a 40-minute video going over the stuff and talk about Civil War or stuff like that. I'd rather not go over about Civil War and all that because I do see where it may be posed an issue and where we could be heading to this situation. I'm not gonna put doom and gloom on everybody's minds right now. We need to go over what's really going on, the political side, everything, and the two-tier system, etc. This is what I deem more important. If I'm gonna go with this typical BS or trouble crap with the Civil War, it doesn't seem hopeful. And Tim Pool seems to always want to do this stuff, and it's really annoying. It goes out to Tim Pool. They don't care what's true. They lie. Tarrio was not at January 6th. Renner represents malicious evil. His followers represent the banality of evil. We have Rob Rayner, which is again another evil person. We have the leader of the Proud Boys was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison for violently storming the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to overthrow the government. He never would have been at the Capitol had it not been for Donald Trump. You do the math. Again, a lot of these things he's saying is incorrect, because what we have here from the community notes, this tweet contains a factual error. While Enrique Tarrio was sentenced to 22 years in prison, it was not for violently storming the U.S. Capitol. As ABC correctly reports, Tarrio wasn't present in Washington the day of the attack. So, again, due to this, he was not even present. And Rob Rayner, of course, is lying. Because all these people do is lie. They're evil incarnate. And that's what we need to do, is stop these people from lying. They're horribly disingenuous, and all the lies need to be stopped here. We have, of course, again, we have all this stuff that's going on here, and just the craziness of it all, right? Like, just this insanity of every single way. Of course, from Annie No, this was also reported from here. So we go here as well. In the latest shocking development out of the Stop Cop City terrorist campaign, the Cobb County DA issued an emergency executive order closing large swaths of public property after potentially deadly booby traps were found hiding under foliage in a park frequented by people and their pets. For months, Antifa and far-left extremists have carried out attacks on the area and police, including committing a shooting to prevent construction of the future anti-police training facility. So we have all this here, and we're going to have more evidence. Look at this stuff right here with nails coming out of the boards and all that great stuff. We have more here. This is all very nefarious and dangerous stuff here. Like, I wouldn't do this. People stepping on these nails. These are actual, looks like to be some type of sort of like bomb in the making. And all that great stuff. And this is insane in every way possible. It's again, this has all been going on. This is also from March 27th. So this kind of gives you an idea of what's been going on, and this was an ongoing thing. So yeah, these people lie, and we're gonna have to deal with it and call out their lies. It's quite annoying that all this BS is happening, and we have to call out. So yeah, this stuff, at least some good is coming out of this. That out of all of this, and at least we're having some charges being indicted. Of course, with this guy here, with him being arrested, I am going to go say that they're arresting him just because he's part of the Proud Boys and nothing else than him actually committing a crime, which I'm very concerned about. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care and stay safe.